Curious Lloyd.
When talking about movies and games, Easter eggs aren't strictly chocolate related. They are rather related to the idea of an Easter egg hint, with items, trivia, or surprises buried in movies or games that can only be spotted by audiences with a particularly well-honed set of skills, whether they are references to other movies or unexpected film crossovers. These 5 terrifying implications are some of the best hidden moments kept in secret in your favourite movies or games. Aliens from Star Wars created Judaism. The 1981 film Raiders of the Lost Ark centers on the quest for the Ark of the Covenant, the box that Moses used to keep God in. The Bible is not entirely in the warehouse. At any rate, the Ark is somehow filled with the divine power that melts Nazis' faces, and it also figures pretty centrally into Judeo-Christian mythology. And yet, if you look closely, you learn that the Ark wasn't given to Moses first, but rather a pair of Twi'leks from the Star Wars universe. Here's the Ark in the Raiders, an ornate golden box with a relief set into the side and a winged bird people's guise on top. Now, here is a still from the cartoon series, Star Wars: The Clone of the Wars, wherein 2 Twi'leks are loading what is clearly the Ark of the Covenant into the spaceship. The ornate golden body, the 2 eagled men on top, is 100% the Ark. But in addition to this, we know that the characters from Star Wars universe came to Earth in humanity's ancient past because of the literal writing on the literal wall. Those are hieroglyphics depicting C-3PO and R2-D2, visible inside the ancient tombs that Indy explores in the Raiders. Since the Covenant is kind of a basis of Judaism, maybe all the miracles discussed in the Exodus were actually the work of someone with knowledge of the Force, especially with the access to a spaceship and advanced technology. The dinosaur from Toy Story led a life of unending torture. Pixar is known for 2 things: making incredibly cute movies and making incredibly sad and disturbing movies. Unfortunately for our collective innocence, those 2 usually come wrapped together. They are known for sneaking a lot of cute little extras into their films. The same pizza truck can be seen in multiple movies, from Brave to WALL-E, the toys from Toy Story lounge in the background of Up and Finding Nemo, and the crushing sense that life is tragically brief can be found hiding just below the surface of everything they do. The more conspiracy-minded among us have even speculated that, because these details tie their universes together, the Pixar Extended Universe is supposed to be read as a single grand apocalypse tale about cars taking over the world and putting humankind on a space timeout. But even if you don't buy the grand unified theory of Pixar, one Easter egg in particular implies that some of our most beloved characters are living out a nightmare existence. The post-apocalyptic children's film, WALL-E, takes place in 2805, about 810 years after the first Toy Story. It opens on robot rubbish man WALL-E returning to his post-apocalyptic rubbish with his shed packed with waste from the time before humankind's departure. In it, we see Rex, because of Pixar's love of crossovers. This is presumably the same Rex doll that Andy had 810 years prior. We learn later in the movie that humans left Earth in 2105 after it became too toxic to live there, which means that, even if it isn't Andy's Rex doll, the toy is still at least 700 years old, and since the toys in the Pixar films are sentient, feeling creatures, this means this immortal doll has watched the Earth die for centuries, along with everything he holds dear. Every other toy he knows is gone, either buried beneath the immense piles of rubbish, or incinerated, or smashed into a cube during the cleanup. Rex has seen Andy, Andy's mum, and his sister either leave or die, and the Earth has slowly become an unlivable wasteland. We don't know what the percentage of humanity was able to fit on the luxury cruisers we see travelling through space, but it's safe to say, and assume, it wasn't 100%. This doll has seen humankind's most brutal and vicious wars, the war for a place in the universe, and the losers were left on Earth to choke out and die in the rubbish mountains, all while Rex watched and presumably went slowly mad. Mass Effect's humans murdered their best friends before Dragon Age. Dragon Age and Mass Effect are 2 games by BioWare that seem very different on the surface. Dragon Age takes place in a traditional fantasy world which entails dwarves, elves and mages, and you can't forget the huge amount of side boob. Mass Effect is traditional sci-fi, which entails aliens, spaceships and lasers, and also a huge amount of side boob. So pretty different as can be, right? But BioWare loves its Easter eggs, so one of its aliens from Mass Effect also pops up in Dragon Age. Well, a quarter of one does, a severed head pinned on the wall as a trophy in a mansion. But to someone who compulsively chases out of the internal logic of pop culture, it's proof of a tragic timeline necessitated by this one detail. Mass Effect 3 ends with every alien race amassing on Earth to battle genocidal robotic squids. Although, we do win, but in doing so, we destroy the ancient tech that enables interstellar travel, stranding everyone where they stand. In Earth's case, this means every soldier in the galaxy is stuck there, without a common enemy to unite them. The ending doesn't say what happens next, but I'm guessing it wasn't good for the people trapped on Earth. Well, for everybody except your pilot, who spends the rest of his days being intimate with a robot in an alien forest. The Krogan in Dragon Age implies that two games take place in the same universe, and seeing as no one in Dragon Age is referred or acknowledged in Mass Effect, we can summarise that Dragon Age takes place after Mass Effect 3. So the traditional fantasy realm of Dragon Age is actually a primitive society emerging after the devastation of the epilogue to Mass Effect 3. If that's so, then after saving the universe, we turned on our allies and literally bombed each other back to the Stone Age. The surviving Krogans, who can live well over 1,000 years, were apparently hunted for trophies, and nobody gets to be intimate with any robots anymore. Truly, it is the greatest tragedy. Pacmans Kron cameo is secretly horrifying. In 1982, the world was enthralled by a little movie called Tron, which introduced the public at large to the idea of computer software and the charms of a young Jeff Bridges. Tron was and is a whole lot of fun. It took us through the then thriving world of video game arcades, giving us a generation of sweaty, asthmatic youth, and that some hope that their Frogger skills would one day save the world. In the Tron-verse, programs manifest on the grid as sentient beings. Midway through the film, we see a map of the grid, and sharp-eyed viewers notice this delightful little Easter egg. That's Pac-Man in the corner there, chasing down pellets and having a complex push-and-pull relationship with ghosts. But hold on a moment, Tron is the manifestation of an early security program, which is basically the 1980s equivalent of Norton Antivirus. If a background task that is basically security for your PC looks like that on the grid, what would Pac-Man look like? Pac-Man must be a grotesque monster. Just look at the map. If it's even remotely to scale, he is enormous. He would fill up whole hallways. He has no arms, he has no legs, he has no eyes. He has only a vast endless hungry mouth that must always consume, that can never stop for a single moment. And worse, this gigantic yellow beastly part machine exists in real computers in this world. So according to Tron Legacy, it can someday manifest into the real world. Willy Wonka suggests Charlie's dad was a supervillain's henchman. Tim Burton brought a lot of new ideas to his re-envisioning of the classic Roald Dahl children's story, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. For one, Burton thought he'd flesh out characters a bit more by telling us about Wonka's relationship with his father. Apparently, Wonka got all of his weird personality quirks because of his awful mean father was a dentist that forbade him from eating sweets. Clearly, that turns into one sweet-obsessed manic, which is pretty inevitable. Another new Burtonism is that Charlie's father had been laid off from his job on the assembly line of a painfully banal cosmetics plant. That company manufactures a toothpaste called Smilex, as you can see here. The thing is, that's already the name of an existing brand of healthcare product that Tim Burton created in a previous movie. That's right, Smilex was originally created by Gotham City's most terrifying psychopath, the Joker. In Burton's Batman, the clown price of crime used his criminal genius to poison all sorts of beauty products with a special toxin that made people literally die laughing. That means, for a brief period, Charlie's kind, good-natured dad was technically a Joker henchman. By doing his job, he assisted in the mass murder of many Gotham City citizens.